we never really train for Swimrun. We just make it fun. We train generally, and we train the pieces. And then when we go to a race, we kind of put it together, and we get through it. And I think that's what it's about. And to keep it fun, especially if your partner is small and hyper competitive, is to encourage the fun aspect.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 213 of the show. In this episode, we are kicking off our 4th annual Partners Month, where we feature one of our favorite parts of Swimrun, the partner aspect. Kicking things off this year is the father and son duo of Team Feel The Byrn, A.K.A. Axel and Gordo Byrn. The name Gordo sounds familiar, well it should. We spoke with Gordo back in episode 138, and he is a wealth of knowledge on all things endurance training and parenting, yes, as you'll find out. This was just an awesome conversation, and we can't wait to share it with all of you.
But first, a brief history in the Low Tide Boyz Partner Month. Let's dust off the Low Tide Boyz history books here for a second, folks. So in early 2021, we were sitting in Studio G, where we are today, A.K.A. my garage, talking about content. We tossed around show ideas, guests, that sort of thing. One of us came up with the idea of us to feature partners for Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
just
hey,
wouldn't it be funny if we did Partners Month? So one thing led to another, and Partners Month was born. Also, just a friendly reminder, and Low Tide Boyz inclusive PSA. If you're a solo swim runner, that's also cool.
Totally
too.
Cool.
Totally fine with that. So in the first year, we featured Team Max Mockerman, the Adorkables, the Swimrun Monks, and we did a Swimrun 201 episode on team tactics.
Yeah, it was actually one of our first 201 episodes, and I think we were like, we should do something partners related.
Yeah. And that's pretty good. I think team tactics is good. So if you're just getting back into Swimrun, maybe check out those episodes. And I think the point of the Partners Month was we wanted to showcase how every partnership is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach for this. Yep. So highlighting that and trying to mix it up there. In 2022, we are very happy to bring Partners Month back again. We featured the lovely Team Mr. and Mrs. B from the UK, our good friends, the Concho Boys. We did a Swimrun 101 show on partners, so a redux of that episode, and our most downloaded show ever to date, Team Kraken Swimrun, out of Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, Jenny and Deanna. Yeah, that was that one. I will say took us by surprise. We're like, people are listening to this thing, and it got caught up in some algorithm or something, went viral in some random place. But yeah, that's a really great.
That was that
was a great year for partners. I thought all those episodes were really good.
Those were all very, very strong. It's always so great. I love hearing all the stories about the partners and how they work together and what races they do and how they engage with each other. Last year, we interviewed Team Stromgren, Team Monkey See, Monkey Run, Team Landshark, and then we shared a masterclass on effective teamwork with Brad Stolberg.
Yeah,
another great episode.
It's almost like not fair that we have access to these
I agree.
Luminaries and teams.
I agree. So this year we have another bunch of great interviews lined up to get you in the spirit for another great year of swim running.
Yeah.
And a programming note, there is an exceptional amount of Thursdays in February this year.
Yeah.
So there is 6 episodes worth. We release every Thursday in the States. And it's a leap year, so there's 6 episodes coming out this month.
Yep. It's okay. We got this.
Closed history book. What's on the shelf for another month. Now on to this week's shout out.
Yeah. So this week's shout out goes to our newest Patreon on Patreon, James N. Thank you so much for the support. We look forward to seeing you out there at the races.
Way to be, James. Yeah. Way to be.
Love it.
Now for this week's feats of endurance. This week's winner goes to our friend Lucas Desmond, out of the Portland, Maine area, and reggae band member himself.
Hell yeah.
He completed his very first World Loppet at the Marcialonga 51 over the weekend. Have no idea what we're talking about? This race is a 70-kilometer cross-country ski race in Mona, Italy. according to Lucas, the race was amazing and the aid stations were the best he's ever seen.
Yeah, so I was DMing him. I was like, dude,
You were
what's going
finding
on?
out about it.
And he posted a photo of the aid station. And he was like, you have no idea. I couldn't even get in the picture the cured meats section.
Cured
there was
meats.
like warm tea and all kinds of
Wow.
stuff. It was like,
and this is on the skinny skis?
Yeah.
Nice. Good work, Lucas. See you at Casco Bay. Hopefully he's always down to do Casco Bay swim run. Hopefully he's out there again this year. But we know one place Lucas is always at, and that's in the Low Tide Boys Strava Club. Over 600 members strong. Join the club, head to Strava, search Low Tide Boys, join in all the fun there.
Yeah.
Now, for a little bit of show business.
Well, it's not really show business, but it is.
It's business.
It's business. So this show is coming out on February 1st. February 2nd is Swimrun Christmas, which I must say, the fact that that's sort of been adopted as the name of that day.
I think we should take some attribution and credit for this.
Absolutely. That's since year one, we've been calling it Swimrun Christmas, and A.K.A. is calling it that, which is awesome. Anyway, Swimrun Christmas is tomorrow, February 2nd. So best of luck to everyone vying for a spot at the 2024 A.K.A., the Swimrun World Championship. It's a day. May the odds...
May the fortunes be in your favor, or the odds may... I never watched the Hunger Games, so may the odds forever be in your favor. Something good. Like that.
Yeah.
If you get in, obviously make sure to tag us on the Instagram so we can promote that you got in as well. We know the excitement that comes. Us. It's a big there. The memes shall rain down upon you. Chris does a bang up job on that day, and he's been priming the pump. If you've noticed this week, there's some good ones coming out. So be sure you're tuned into the Low Tide Boys on Instagram for those as well. And if you get in and you're like, oh man, I have no idea what to do. Do the Low Tide Boys have any A.K.A. Swimmer World Championship content? How many? A dozen episodes? At least a dozen episodes for you to help race reports, course breakdowns, overviews, micro dissections,
strategy sessions,
gears,
nutrition,
everything. I mean, we've
our
turned
own
over every leaf
on display.
Yeah, all the above. That's what's happening. But huge congrats to all those who get in on Swimrun Christmas. Let us know.
And if you don't get in, bummer. We feel you. That sucks.
It's tough.
Hey, but you know what? There's a bunch of other swimruns you can do.
Absolutely. Keep stacking those points.
Yeah.
Keep stacking those points. Now, let's get into our conversation with Team Feel the Byrn.
Well, Chipper, it was so great to kick off Partners Month with Axel and Gordo. First time we've had a father-son team.
Yeah, our youngest guest as well.
Our youngest guest for sure. And I will say, you know, wasn't sure if I was going to mention this on the air, but I'm just going to mention it. I was laughing when we were thinking back to when we were recording that, because you were trying so hard to be like the cool guy. We like chat with Axel. You're like, oh, hey, Axel, man. So, you know, I'm young and hip. And I'm just like, anyway, it's super funny, dude. It's
okay.
It's super funny. Anyway, in this conversation, we talked about their race resume, how they trained for Swimrun, and got a steady stream of knowledge bombs on basically on how to raise an active family and so much more. I mean, we've made it no secret that it's a dream of ours to someday race with our kids. And Gordo, like Chipper, like he basically gave us a roadmap on how to do this, how to keep it fun, how to keep it, you know, keep him engaged.
Yeah,
it was really good.
It was a great episode. Again, Axel, 12 years old, joining us on the show.
Your buddy,
my pal. No cap on that, Axel. You know, keep it. Well, I'm flailing.
You're
here.
Sounding sus, dude.
I'm sounding super sus. Super sus. We better. The wheels are falling off. But it was a great conversation with Gordo and Axel. Again, Gordo's perspective and sort of his outlook on how to raise an active kid and not burn them out, I think is just it feels very sound to me, and really a strong opinion. I mean, a strong guardrails and there. And again, if we'd be remiss not to mention Gordo's newsletter on Substack, The Endurance Essentials. I know I look forward to reading that every morning. If you're into data and training and all sorts of metrics, like there is no better place to go than that. And there was a sort of a race report about Attila Austin in that. So rustle that up as well. It's a great read, great subscribe there. But without any further ado, let's get into our conversation with Team Feel the Byrn, Axel and Gordo. Burn, baby, burn.
You're still sus. All right, we're very excited to kick off Partners Month with someone you might know and someone you might not. So back in episode 135, we had Gordo Byrn on the show. One of our top 10 episodes. I'm not no BS.
Yeah,
it's
this
true.
isn't
It's in the top
a puff
10
piece here.
It's not a puff piece. And his son Axel. So welcome both to the show. And this is the first time we've had a father-son partner team.
Yeah.
So I'd love to, Axel, why don't you introduce yourself to us? Let us know how did you convince your dad? Did he convince you to try Swimrun? Tell us a story.
Well, he didn't really like convince me to do Swimrun. Like I've kind of like always wanted to do it. It sounded like a super fun thing to do with him. And like it's always sounded like fun just running in like the nature and swimming in all the lakes in Sweden. And just going to Sweden was also just really fun.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a good vacation to pull out of it. And obviously your dad's up to a lot of fun, or what we think is fun, certainly on a regular basis. Why don't you let us know how old a guy are you, Axel, and what sort of what sports, what activities what do you do for fun outside of Swimrun?
Well, so I'm 12 years old, and the sports I do, like so I'm on a run team.
Okay.
And then I'm on a swim team, and then I go skiing on the weekends with my dad a lot and our whole family.
Wow.
And then I also am on a climbing team. And then also if I don't have a sport one day, I'll do sometimes a bike run at our house with our treadmill and our bike.
Man, Gordo, you've got this kid. He's going. That sounds like a lot of fun, Axel. You're setting a good foundation for yourself with all the activities and really living it up, the Colorado lifestyle for sure with the skiing on the weekends. I love it.
I think it's fair to say, so there's this Haitian proverb that says pumpkin plants don't grow squash. And I think it's safe to say the apple isn't falling too far from the tree, as we'd say here in the States. So Gordo, from your side of things, like, your son's 12, obviously picking up some really great habits about personal fitness and all that stuff. Tell us how you see it from your perspective.
So during lockdown, the only thing that was open for us was the backcountry. And so we had a summer where we did a ton of 14ers together, and it was a lot of fun.
We did like 18.
Wow.
And
how many are there?
There can't be much more than 18, I feel like.
There's 56.
Okay,
Wow.
I stand corrected. Thank you, Axel.
Axe knows the stats.
I love it.
So I noticed that he's always loved going uphill from the time he could stand up. But what's a little bit unusual is he's got exceptional all-day stamina, kind of naturally. Plus, he's into it. So I've been looking around for things we could do. So we might do camping and things like that. But one of the challenges of racing with your kids is you're so much faster than them, and you're going really slow. Like if we're doing a bike ride, there's a big difference just because of size, right? So with Swimrun, though, because we're tethered, it's a big equalizer. And he's still getting a good workout, but let me tell you, it's like dragging a bucket behind you if you got a set of paddles. I mean, he's going hard and I'm going hard. And between the two of us, we're kind of moving along, but it's a fabulous session. And I get pretty gassed on the swims. And then he pops up.
Ready to go.
He's gone. Yeah, pops up ready to go. And so it works out really well because I kind of have to regroup at the start of the run, and then I feel a bit better, and then I'm sort of catching up to him a bit. And so it's really friendly for if you like mismatched teams a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think you guys know that. I mean, that's one of the things where it can work so well. What I don't do, though, is I'm not like like some of the elite mixed teams where if you're the slower partner, you're getting power dragged the whole way. Like we we don't do that. Like we just on the run, it's just chill. And I mean, if we're feeling good, we try and go fast, but I'm not dragging the guy on the runs.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I leave you on the run.
Yeah. And last year in Sweden, I was having all these injury issues and he was punching me out the back, like on some of the runs. And I was like, dude, you got to wait. And, but this year we're doing better. Like when we were doing pace band down in Texas, it went a lot better for us. Mm-hmm. And let me just give some of the listeners ideas.
Please do.
For if they're, if they got a kid. One of the key sessions we did as a duo, as a team, is I looked up what the longest swim was. And actually he did a sprint try, and the longest swim was 800 meters on the sprint try. Nice. So what we said was, hey, look, we're going to do an 800 meter interval in a 25 meter pool. And all I want you to do is stay on my feet. And I wasn't going to go fast, and we're not tethered. We're just going to swim relaxed. Mm-hmm. And he'd never done an interval that far before. And it was a big confidence boost for him. And then we had a sprint try the day before we did our first swim run. And I swam that alongside him, just again, as a confidence booster. Mm. And it worked out great. So by the time he got to our actual swim run event where we were going to be tethered, he knew he was ready to go. He knew the swim was going to be no big deal. And I think that's an important thing that people can do, really with any partner that might be a little nervous about being out in the open water, is just connect in the pool and do some relaxed swimming where they're on your toes, and you can just kind of figure out how it goes together as a team.
That's a great point. Now I'm curious, how is the communication between you guys like during a race? Is there a little bit of trash talk? And I already sense a little bit of that in the relationship, but what's that like?
So for me, I get water in my ears like really easily, and it gets stuck, and then like I get really bad headache, so I have to wear earplugs for swim racing, like swim practices, and for this, so I can't hear my dad at all. So basically, like whatever he says, like I can hear none of it. So
it's so frustrating. So he's got his ears just jammed with wax, and I feel like I'm an abusive parent because to get anything across, I have to go like right up to his ear and just yell it like in like 2 words.
So funny.
I can just see people looking at us like, wow, I feel sorry for that kid. His dad is so brutal.
So militant. Well, so Axel, I have a solution for you, because Chipper and I had the same problem. I can't swim without earplugs. He's fine. So we'd be races, and if he wasn't like looking at me, I would be like, what? Come again? And he'd be like, oh, never mind. So there's a product called Swim Ears, which keeps the water out but allows the sound to go in, and it's like a kind of, or surf ears. They kind of stay in your ears. And they work awesome. They're such a great thing for swim run because you don't have to take them out every time. But I think it's up to you whether you actually want to hear your dad or not. So you're old enough to make that decision.
It would be nice to communicate.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I mean, we're just having to wing it.
And also sometimes at swim practice too, like I can barely hear my coaches, and I'm just like, can you please repeat the set?
Yeah, so surf ears or swim ears. The surf ears have like a little hook on them to kind of keep them in your ear.
Kind of like the headphones a little bit, but I might have an idea what you're getting for your birthday now. So, yeah, and it was so great to see, as Chris mentioned at the top of the show, we got to see you guys, and we even ran with you for a bit of a run leg at Odyssey or Attila Austin in November. So that was really, really cool to see you both out there. But that wasn't your first swim run. You have done a few, including you've done more international swim runs than U.S. swim runs. So would love to hear, Axel, how do you kind of compare what Attila Uto on the birthplace of swim run, how that compares to racing in Texas?
So the first swim run I did was in Boros. That's right how you pronounce it.
Anyway,
we don't get it right either.
It's all good.
It was the day after I turned 12, because I did the sprint triathlon on the day I turned 12. And at the end, I got greeted with a cake.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Proper
but then
fika.
for the swim run, the first one that we did, my dad saw Simon and his son, right?
Yeah, Flinta, Martin Flinta.
Oh,
you guys know Martin Flinta?
He's a legend,
titan of the sport.
So, well, his son Simon. So Martin and Simon were at Böyz, and Martin is perfectly okay with dragging his son around full speed. And I have a slightly different approach. And I was kind of like, hey, man, let's just chill out at the start. And Axel's like, I do not want to chill out. I want to be up there with those guys. Let's get moving.
So then this is what happened. So we basically were on pace and we were going to get like third place. And then we missed a turn. And then we got lost and had to do like an extra, maybe like 10 minutes or something. It was like an extra like mile or something. It was really sad because we were in
the mix with the adults,
and then we
got lost.
Then we came in, and at the very end, and then I always like to sprint at the end, so I sprinted. And then my dad tried sprinting, but then he pulled his hamstring. So then
those old guys.
For the race and the one that was in one in Uto, that one. He was injured, so we couldn't like go fast at all. It was very sad. I had to jog basically all the roads.
Yeah.
So we're going back.
Nice
for a rematch.
Yeah, getting some payback.
Yeah, hopefully
with the island and hopefully, and we've heard that the team that won last year are going to be back as well. It's a Swedish team, 2 guys. And so that's where we're hoping to be competitive.
I like it. And what distance? This is the sprint distance?
Yeah, we do the 2-hour ones.
Nice.
Which is a long way for a kid.
Yeah.
But with Axel's endurance, he can handle it. Like so when we were running with you guys, we took it out a little too hot because with my previous problems at the races, Axel's like, Dad, I'm not interested in going slow. So I was like, okay, bro.
High expectations.
Hold on. So when you guys saw us going full speed down the road, that was kind of our game plan. Just take it out and just see what happens. Nice. And Axel started to look a bit like a Smurf. He's kind of like going blue.
I got a cramp, like a really bad cramp. So then we had to we
called a timeout. We walked it off for a bit and regrouped, and then he just got stronger and stronger as the event went on. And then the last run, he actually ran up to first place, but I wasn't there because he was just going too fast.
I was going to catch up to them, and I was like about to pass them, but I had to wait for my dad because he was behind me, so we couldn't win. So we got second overall.
Yeah.
So I did point out to him that the reason we were close was because I had buried myself on the last swim. And that is part of the reason why I wasn't able to run. So, I kind of earned the right to blow up on the last run in a sense.
But I waited for him and I didn't sprint.
He did. He didn't leave me.
Well, that's the sport.
But your matches were spent. Sport. You spent them a little early, it sounds like, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, we might have taken it out a bit hot. If we hadn't done that, maybe it would have been a bit closer. But, I tell Axe, that's the thing about racing, getting lost, making mistakes, all this stuff. These are things you got to go through, things you got to learn, and just how it goes.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's all data points, Yep. It's all data points that you can apply later. If it's golf, it's like, hey, you've been in the bunker how many times? You know what shot you need to hit to make it work, and only through a bunch of reps can you really figure that out. Now, speaking of which, so you guys have races coming up. How are you thinking about and this is self-serving for Chipper and me because our dream is to race with our daughters, 10 years from now or, not even 5 years from now.
If 12 is the limit, we don't have that much longer.
Yeah. So better wrap our heads around that. So in support of that, of us trying to wrap our heads around it, what advice, I mean, it sounds like Axel was very self-motivated and that probably makes it easy because he was into it. But if your child is showing any type of self-motivation, like looks like your approach was successful, Gordo. So can you just give us like some tips on how to just from the parenting side of things, how to manage that?
So obviously the swim's a big piece. I think for adults and kids, there can be a lot of fear wrapped around that. Easiest way to get a kid into swimming, summer swim league. There'll be where you live. There's going to be a summer swim league and just keep it fun. let the kid enjoy it, let the kid touch the water as many days as possible across the summer. And I think that kind of takes that off they get comfortable in the water. They're having fun. So there's no fear there. So I think that's a key one. With the running, the nice thing about Swimrun is you might look at the total distance of running required, but because it's broken up, not so bad in a sense. Like, if you're looking at, it's a 10K run. Well, actually it's not necessarily a 10K run. You got to train for the entire duration, and the runs are going to be broken up, and that makes it a lot easier to get through.
Before the first swim run that I did, we did like a ton of 5Ks, which also helped with the running. And we did some fast 5Ks in races. That's
the limit of what I'd let a kid race is 5K. And then now he's in middle school, so he's got intramural cross country.
Okay.
And that gives him, again, just run training. But we don't, like, his run he runs between, say, 0 and 3 times a week around the year. Same deal with swimming, 0 to 3 in the school year. Yeah, sorry, 1. You're right. Always at least 1 swim a week, every week since he could stand up.
Wow.
So he's never gotten away from it or had a long gap, and then high frequency in the summer. The other thing is we got to build up the overall stamina, that overall ability to get through the entire race. And we've done that with hiking. And now he's a little older, some rides, but again, just out, not training, just like kind of riding around town on a pretty heavy, one of these hybrid bikes with the wide tires that Specialized makes. And I think that's been how we've built it up. Now, for most kids, you're probably not going to be busting out a 2-hour swim run out of the gate with them. So you need to look for these shorter events. But I wouldn't feel like you have to do specific swim run training. We never really train for swim run. We just make it fun. We train generally, and we train the pieces. And then when we go to a race, we kind of put it together, and we get through it. And I think that's what it's about. And to keep it fun, especially if your partner is small and hyper competitive, is to encourage the fun aspect, because it's easy to get wrapped up in people around you and winning. And I know Axel might hear that, and he's like, it's kind of about winning, but it's not, in the scheme. When he's older, what he's going to realize that what we were doing was we were just having fun and trying to create this desire just to be out there and enjoy it and compete and just have fun together as a team.
Yeah.
Before the race for the one in Texas, I remember what we did was we went to it's like what's it called, Dad? It's like that
Barton Springs.
Oh yeah,
that was a good session.
That's a really cool place.
We swam there before we tested out all of our equipment.
Nice.
And we did probably like a 1.5K, something like that.
Yeah, the gear check is good. We did
to get like our rope good and just like double check
in Boyz. We did our gear check too in the lake near the town, just to again make sure get our tether the right length.
When I did the triathlon the day before the swim run, but it wasn't when we were doing like the practice before we were doing the swim. I remember, we weren't so it was my first time swimming with like a wetsuit in like open water, and I didn't pull the wetsuit up into my armpits, so I could barely swim.
Oh
no!
Because it was so tight with my arms. So then that was good that we did that before, because then it would have been a hard try to swim.
This is another good one for if you're dealing with cold water and you're going to have a cold water race, is to get the kid down the day before and just experience what it's like to go into cold water, and that sensation you can have like you're getting choked. Because when we were in Boyz, the day before was really cold, so I was like, okay, man, we got to go in. We're going to do the swim today, so you know that you can make it. First time we go in, there's nobody around. It's really cold water. He gets that feeling like he's being choked, and he's having trouble breathing. And if that had been the swim start, it can really trigger a big stress response. So he goes out of the water, just sits down, calms down. And then he's like, you know what? I think I can do this if I go back in. That kind of like second exposure after you've had the cold shock. We go in, we do the swim, we have a good experience in the whole thing. And that was really great for us to do as a team.
Yeah, these are great.
The mammalian reflex is what it's called.
Yep.
Wow.
You can really shock you.
Yeah, and it's actually something that you can train too. So it's the type of thing, the more exposure you have to it, the more you can kind of like control that rather than every time you go in, it's like this kind of experience.
So yeah, that cold water warm up is really feet in, hands in, face in. Try and keep the body relatively warm, but just get rid of that shock before the race kicks off. With Swimrun, you can't do that because you're going to start running. You're not going to be able to, but the nice thing is your core temp's going to be up by the time you got to hit the water at least.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be like really freezing. And the Baltic's never too bad.
It's not too bad. And honestly, I feel like in Swimrun, because especially that first transition, there's so many things you're fiddling with, like you almost forget.
Yeah, it's high action.
until your face goes in the water and like, oh yeah, it could be cold.
Yeah.
I think the coldest water we've swum in so far was probably for the second swim run that we did in Sweden. It was in Stockholm. It was Uto.
Yeah.
It was in that because like we weren't going as fast because my dad was injured, and it started to get windy and it was wavy. Mm-hmm. So the wind was the wind was cold too. So like for some of the like runs, I'd like unzip my wetsuit and like just try to cool off a bit. But for this one, I was not.
Yeah, we were a little cold. Yeah. Second half of that one.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, Axel, I'm very impressed, and you're learning lessons that I have barely learned myself. So you've got quite the head start on any other folks. So congrats on that. Where does what do your friends think of you going out and racing with your dad, and when you do triathlons, do you have friends that are also into this sort of adventure and fun endurance stuff?
No, most of my friends like either play football, soccer, or basketball, like the normal sports that a lot of kids play. Yeah, like those three sports. And then I have some friends though who do swimming, but no like triathlon or swim run.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? That's representative of the population at large. Well. Let me ask you guys this again from like a parenting perspective. Chipper and I, again, we want to do this when our kids are older. Do you find the experience of racing, Gordo, for you racing with your son Axel, and Axel, you racing with your dad? Like, can you sort of sense that you're making really great memories and that it's just a really great experience to spend this time together?
Yeah, it's actually that's separate from the races. One of the things I would encourage people to do when the kids are kids is what you just touched on there. And really, the idea is to fill the world with positive memories of spending time together, whether it is skiing or a training session or going on a hike, all these outdoor things. Mm-hmm. So especially if you want your kids to hang around, Colorado's a nice place. But Axel and I have filled the state with positive memories. Mm-hmm. So he can go all over the state and like say, hey, wow, I know that mountain and I climbed that with my dad and we did this and all these different things that we've done together here at home. I don't think I think the most powerful thing is things that you can do at home nearby. Yeah. The international stuff's fun. I mean, we're really into it, and obviously it's cool, and it's a way for us to see the world together. But from the parenting point of view, it's the stuff that's close. And these are that, when it's difficult and it's hard, and I'm injured, and he's kind of upset with me because I can't go fast. I was kind of like, well, we're together, and he's like, well, I don't really care about being together. I'd like you to go quicker. But I think over time, what he's going to realize is actually, wow, that was pretty cool. No matter how fast we went, we were swimming in the Baltic.
Yeah.
We were like in this different country, and yeah, it was really hard, but we got to do it. And so we're planning on giving it another shot and going back this coming summer.
Nice.
And hopefully do it a bit better. And then as the nice thing too about, Swimrun is as Axel scales as an athlete and, gets into high school, his capacity is going to go up. So if the desire's there, we can start doing, some of the World Series events and some of the longer events together. I mean, ultimately, obviously we'd like to be a father and son at World Championships if that's meant to be. Yeah. Personally, I really want to do Rockman between, Axel growing up in a sense.
What's Rockman?
Oh, Rockman's this one in Norway.
It's insane.
How long did you?
It's great though.
What? It's about survival. It's not about time.
Yeah,
it's just it ends with like a kind of off trail half marathon thing. It's just massive.
Yeah.
You're
Do you like hiking with wet
and,
feet?
It's for you, bro.
It's like rock climbing, basically.
So so there's, and the sport's growing too. So I think for, and then Axel's kind of like, well, I already got a Swedish partner with like Simon Flinta. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of thinking, oh, we might be able to put it together. He's kind of the right age for me when I'm like older. Cause I used to race. I didn't do adventure racing with his dad, but he used to come down to New Zealand, train with us when we were focusing on triathlon. And it was back when he was a world-class multi-sport athlete. Mm-hmm. He would do the coast to coast and train for adventure racing in the winter in New Zealand. So there's the connection there. So these international connections are fun. I mean, as you guys know,
sure.
Making friends around the world and then connecting at the races or connecting in other places to train together.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, I think Swimrun is such a great opportunity for that type of experience as well, because as we all know, super friendly. And even, from your old race partner, Jonas Colting, I mean, we literally just like launched a website, a podcast, and a Instagram handle. And we're like, hey, we're going to be in Catalina. We heard you're going to be there. Can we interview you? He was so welcoming. It kind of scared us. I was like, really? Like, what's this about? But, there's so many great people in the sport. So I think insofar as developing these sort of international connections and people like Axel, 15 years from now, you could be in, I don't know, Germany for work or something and be like, hey, there's a swimrun. Anyone want to come up and do it with me? They'll probably have a bunch of people that are, be willing to do it, which is just one of the great things about the sport, which I'm not convincing anyone here.
Yeah, it's preaching to the choir, Chris. Now, Axel, we asked your dad what from the parenting angle, but from the kid angle, I guess, what can parents who are really excited to get out there with their kids, what can they do with their kids to help keep it fun and make sure that the kid is having a good time as well?
Well, since I could like basically walk, we used to always go hiking at Chautauqua, and like basically like we'd go out and then I'd get really tired, and then my dad would like carry me all the way back.
Sounds
it's like one way, just like walk as far as you can, then get carried back.
Never go further from the car than you can carry the kid back.
It's like flying in a helicopter. You can't go past the halfway point.
Sage advice.
And then the more I started to do it, the more I started to like hiking, which like led to me doing all of the which led to me doing like 36 14ers. And then all of that turned into like me wanting to like start to run. And then I did the school cross country. And then one of my friends, his name's Colt, he's Adam and Kara Goucher's son. Mm-hmm. He was doing a running team and I wanted to do it too. So then I joined that running team. And then I started running for that. And then for swimming, since I was like basically right when I was like less than like a month old, my parents took we went into like the baby pool or something just to get used to the water.
Okay. Yeah. So getting out there, getting out in nature and just hanging out with your dad and doing fun, or your family and doing fun stuff, even though it might challenge you so much that your dad has to carry you back, but still a fun time.
Well, so that's an important thing to remember. It needs to be kid driven. The kid, you need to be long-term greedy with the athletic development. And what I mean for that is, if you think about it, he was 12 before we did a race at my speed. And I've been working on that for, I mean, he's been hiking with me since he was 2. So that's 10 years of just dealing with whatever, trying to keep it fun, dealing with whatever comes up, and just building it up. Not really with an end goal. I wasn't expecting to have a 12-year-old that could race with me. That was sort of like a pleasant surprise. But really, I wanted to be able to share things with the kids. I got 3 kids, and be able to share things outdoors with them. And I think that's an important thing. So you're not doing workouts, you're sharing experiences. And that's been why it's worked for us in terms of the development. I think it gets, we live in Boulder, which is a very athletic, performance-oriented town. And the parents that have elite backgrounds are usually pretty chill. It's some of the other parents that think they need to be extra serious or hard on the kids. And I think that's really counterproductive. So, keep it fun, keep it consistent. And then they're going to naturally want to spend time with us as parents. And then you just have to find a forum where it's appropriate for their level and our level. The other thing is a big motivator for me to get back into running.
Yeah.
I had 10 years off running. I was only hiking with them. And I just had a ton of injuries and stuff. And I had to educate myself, get myself a coach that could help me through my issues to get back into running at the time that he was learning how to run. So we were sort of learning at the same time. Nice. Same deal. I had 10 years off swimming. I had to get back into that. And obviously I knew how to swim. It was just a fitness thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is certainly, I know Chris and I have talked about this before, and it seems to be kind of from a parental perspective, there is a lot of kind of outside pressure, like, oh, are you in the travel baseball league? Are you in the travel soccer thing? Are you on the swim thing? And that these, at a pretty young age, 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, that kind of start dominating the kid's life. And yeah, they are having fun doing it to some extent, but like, how much is too much and too early? And I subscribe to your Endurance Essentials on Substack, and I think you've had laid out some really nice perspectives on there that I think are really good, but about keeping it very much reserved, and just like how you've been talking about today, keeping it more kid-led and not overwhelming them or overwhelming it, because it's just going to lead to burnout. I think we've pretty clearly seen that in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, if you specialize early, you can become kid fast, and that's a lot of fun for the kid. Mm-hmm. What's not fun is plateauing from 12 to 16 when all the other kids that have been playing and doing other stuff are kind of catching up and in many cases going past you. And that is really not fun. And then the kids drop out. So our philosophy has been active every day, except Fridays are days off. So we kind of chill out on Fridays, actually Fridays and Sundays. But they do a range of things. We go big with the swimming on the summer because as a family, we think that's important to develop. But other than that, we're pretty mellow and we're mixed throughout the year. Then when the kid hits puberty, if they want, it's their choice to specialize. So Axel's older sister is a very good swimmer, and she made the choice to specialize and increase her focus. Now she's 15 now. And so that's the natural time. So you base it on the kid's development and what the kid wants to do,
right,
as opposed to the parents trying to ramp it up. And I think that's going to get a better long-term outcome. Because my goal for them is what I managed to get for myself, a lifelong enjoyment of exercise. It's not performance-oriented at all.
Right.
Yeah. I just want them to enjoy their sport for their whole life.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the performance part of it is, if they have it, it's going to go at some point, right? So you have to have sort of the love of it. And I think, there's just a lot of research. There's a recent book that came out by Linda Flanagan, Taking Back the Game, which talks about sort of over-specialization as kids, the travel teams that Chipper was talking about. But one of the ideas from the book was like, if the kid is world-class, that's just going to happen.
People will find out regardless.
They don't need to be on some travel team to be discovered. And 2, it's like, always checking in to make sure that this is what the kid wants, and it isn't sort of the parents sort of impugning like, oh, well, I did baseball, so you got to do baseball, or I did swimming, and so you got to do swimming, but all of it being self-driven. And I think like the example that you've given us, Gordo, I mean, I think it's going to take that to the bank in my own parenting for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other, we, one of the truisms of parenting, and this isn't just with sport, is that all parents pass their unfinished business to their children. So I see many of my wife and I's desires reflected in the kids, and we don't even need to talk about it. It's one of these things, and I need to be aware of it as myself, and as a young adult. If you're a young adult listening out there, just be aware of that. Is that there's these generational transfers, and you got to decide. As you grow up, you got to decide. Well, they kind of gave me all this stuff. How much of it's really me, and how much of it isn't me? And I made a break from finance. My family had been in finance and business, and made this shift towards athletics because that's where I wanted to be. But it was a very different life than actually. I knew 3 generations of my family before me. It was very different than how the 3 of them lived. And if my kids want to go a different direction than sport, that's okay with me too. Ultimately, it's going to be their call.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Well, it's been so great to chat with you guys, and Axel, what an incredible young kid you are there, and it's love how you're whooping your dad's ass on the run. I think that's really good. But yeah, I'm really excited to watch you guys, and good luck on cross country and all the fun stuff. How many more 14ers are you trying to bag this year?
All of them?
Well, so basically, now that I have so many competitions in all of the sports, we don't have as much time for a 14er. So this year, now we try to do at least one every year still.
Nice.
But this year I'm getting a choice if I'm either going to do that or a triathlon.
Yeah, I let him pick. I was like, hey man, you want to climb a mountain or you want to do a race? It's up to you. He's been mulling it over. He said, what?
It's probably race, but I want to know where it is first.
Yeah,
fair enough.
He wants details, event details.
Nice.
Fair enough. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. I can't think of a better episode to kick off Partners Month 2024. Amazing. You're awesome. Always great to see you, Gordo. It was awesome to share some miles with you at the World Championship last September. And best of luck this year.
Good luck at Uto. Your take 2 revenge.
Is it payback?
Payback, not revenge. Payback. I don't know who you're taking revenge on, but payback.
I'm taking revenge on myself. I was like, that course goes back through the finishing area, like it has a small loop, and then you go out. Mm-hmm. And Axel's like, dude, we're going so slow. We should just drop out. And I'm like, if I can move, I am not quitting.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for the time, guys, and you have a great 2024, and we'll see you out a couple more swim runs this year, we hope.
All right,
thanks. That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities. Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel too.
Of course, yes.